Hello everyone, bringing you a video today looking at this. Now this is an example of US 3/4 collar body armour, which is often colloquially referred to as M1969 or M69. This is not really deserving of that title. There is a later example which better fits that designation, which uses Velcro closures and so forth. But this predates 1969 and is officially referred to as body armour 3/4 collar. And that's because of the 3/4 collar we have here. It's a linear development of the US Army's M1952A body armour, which was introduced in the latter years of the Korean War. And originally it differed only in having the 3/4 collar added onto the design. The first production batches of these actually had epaulets, which the M1952A had as well, but they were deleted from the design. So you end up with this design as the standard production variant, basically. And then, as I say, the cover would be modified later on to have a Velcro closure and Velcro closures to the pockets and so forth. We'll talk about all of that in just a minute and the features of the design. The filler is also a linear development of that used with M1952A, and it is ballistic nylon, as is the 3/4 collar. So in that respect, it is an updated version of M1952A when it all boils down to it. The reason I was interested in picking up an example of one of these, and it is a recent arrival, is it's the most common form of body armour used by British troops during the early part of the Troubles, through until at least the mid-1970s. This is the most common form of body armour to be seen, along with some modified covers and so forth. The actual pattern of the body armour, that is to say the 3/4 collar filler and the lacing down the sides and so forth, would remain standard right the way through into the introduction of ANZAC, the Improved Northern Ireland Body Armour, or Body Armour Mark II. Various different covers were made, some of them with rubber shoulder stops on the shoulders, pouches and various different things, but the actual filler, the ballistic nylon filler and 3/4 collar design we have here, would remain standard right the way through, with various external features altered. So from that point of view, an iconic bit of kit. Another reason it's iconic, of course, is its use with American troops in Vietnam, and that was very extensive. There's more limited use by ANZAC troops in Vietnam as well, and it was also used by the Irish forces on the other side of the border during the Troubles as well. So during the 70s you do see examples with the US nylon cover we have here in use, and then the Irish Defence Forces would introduce their own locally made cover for these, which appears to be made of cotton or a polycotton rather than nylon, with button pockets and so forth, various detailed differences, but I believe the filler is essentially the same. There's certainly a 3/4 collar design. So that's, as I say, a run through of this sort of use and the reason I was interested in picking up one of these. We'll talk a little bit more now about the features of this. As already mentioned, the filler is of ballistic nylon, and that's what provides the protection that this offers, which isn't a great deal by modern standards, but better than nothing. We have the 3/4 stand collar here, as you can see, the real defining feature of this compared to the M1952A, which came before it. Otherwise, the design of the front here is very, very similar. We have two breast pockets here, as you can see, and these close with two male press studs and a female press stud up here, or snaps in American terminology, which allow obviously two different closure heights there for the flap, and the same on the other side. It's a mirror image basically, and slight bellows to these on the outer edge, so they do have a fairly good carrying capacity. You have on each side loops which allow grenades to be attached. You could, I suppose, also use these with slide keepers, but primarily I understand these are intended to attach grenades. And then the front opening is a covered zip, and if we peel this back, I've not done the top snap there because it's a bit tight. You can see a heavy duty metal zip there with a cloth pull on the zip itself, and then you've got this little tab at the bottom which helps you to actually fasten and pull it up, which is a useful part of the design. And you can see the front there closes over the top of the zip with snaps or press studs. Basically the same as the M1952A design in that regard. As already said, later examples of these would fasten with a Velcro or touch and close fastener, and it's a little tight across the chest of the mannequin here. I probably laced it a little bit too tight at the sides. The design is otherwise, I say, other than the collar and the lack of the epaulets on the shoulder, very, very similar to the M1952A in terms of the cover here, including the angle of the pockets and everything else. That's the front of it. We'll move this round now and have a look at the side and the rear details. Not that there's a huge amount to see there, but we'll have a look nonetheless. So looking at the left side of the mannequin here, we won't bother looking at the right because they are mirror images of one another. But you can see the lacing down the side here, which is essentially the same as that on the M1952A. It does leave a bit of a gap in the armour here. There is an overlap of the nylon, but nevertheless, this is a weak point in the design. It's round the side under the arm, but it's something that there would be efforts to remove this from later designs of body armour. And you can see metal eyelets worked in there, and then this is just paracord that's replaced the original lacing. I need to do a little bit of work on this to tidy it up, but you can nevertheless see the lacing down the side there. And then looking at the rear here, you can see just the plain nylon cover. There's no seams or anything here. You can just see where the collar stitches on around the neck there, and there's not a lot more to see at the back here. There's no seams or anything at the rear, just one big plain piece of nylon forming the back of the cover. We'll have a look at the label here as well, of course, and you can see here the designation, which is Armour Body Fragmentation Protective with 3/4 collar. There are some people who think that body armour is a more modern term and these weren't referred to as body armour, but that is the official designation for them, along with the M1952A. And then you can see the various instructions and the "This armour may save your life" exclamation, which is a common thing to find in these labels. And you can see as I say, the instructions for wearing and cleaning this, and obviously telling you must wear this properly fastened up, which is something that was ignored by many men in Vietnam. Of course, you do often see these worn open, where they provide quite limited protection in that regard, even more limited than the normal level of protection they do provide. Unfortunately, the label above this is missing and just an M has been written in to show that this is size medium. Normally the label above would provide further details, the DSA and so forth, and also the size as well. But handily, this has been marked in pen to show it is a size medium, and it conforms to the medium M1952A body armour that I have in my collection as well. So I hope you found it interesting looking at this, and I hope it's been useful talking a bit about the design. There's a video uploaded by Collector Nick on YouTube which runs through 3 different examples of these. One of the very early production with the epaulets, which are quite rare to find, so it's nice to have a look at one of those. An example like this, and then the later example which has obviously the Velcro or touch and close fasteners on the cover. I'll put a link to that in a comment down below should you like to go and have a look at some other examples of these. And certainly it's useful. I think they have complete labels in and so forth, which gives you a bit more information on the designation and the DSA numbers and so forth, what the labels looked like in them, other than the instruction label which we saw in this one. This offered a little bit more of a focus on obviously British use, and that's certainly why I've got one of these, and possibly Irish use as well. Maybe even Australian and New Zealand troops in Vietnam, possibly. In the rare instances they did wear body armour, but that might be something to cover in a video going forward. If you'd like to see that and other uploads coming up, please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the little notification button down below, and that will of course alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you would like to support the channel, you can, both Patreon and PayPal, I'll link down below. And a huge thank you as ever to everybody who supports the channel using those 2 methods. It's greatly appreciated, as I always say. If you'd like to follow the channel on social media, you can. Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all linked down below. And if you'd like to get in touch but you don't really use social media, there is of course an email address down there as well. That's everything for this video, so until next time, bye for now.